Last week, I extended an invitation to the head of the local NAACP to come visit our Yeshiva Dar Chinam, where I serve as dean, and conduct a session jointly with myself, with our middle school students, to talk to them about tolerance, mutual understanding, about the importance of understanding and respecting each other's cultures in an attempt to bring our communities together. The backstory was that there was a very unfortunate incident on Purim where a Jewish resident of Monsey hung a black-faced doll with dreadlocks outside their home on Purim Day, commemorating the hanging of Haman, an enemy of the Jewish people, during Purim. Now, I said at the time, and I say now, I'm certain that the person didn't intend it to offend the African American community, but it was just terrible optics and a terribly poor choice. I condemned it on the local news station right after it happened, and that was the backdrop of this. The story, the head of the NAACP came down. We had an actually beautiful session. If anybody would like to look up details about it, you can Google search my name, Yakov Horowitz, Yakovhorowitz, and NAACP, and it will all come up. I'm very glad that I did it. I think it was a beautiful message. Our students gained an enormous amount from it, as I did, and I hope it'll be the beginning of a wonderful relationship between myself and the heads of the NAACP. I think it's very appropriate to share our Torah Thought for this week with the backdrop of all that occurred. This week's Parshas Mitzayra, discusses the laws of tzaras, commonly referred to as leprosy, but our sages tell us that this was the person got tzaras as a result of speaking ill of other people and forcing social isolation upon them. The cure, so to speak, the tshuva, the repentance for a mitzvah, was to live in isolation outside the camp until he was cured, so to speak. And that was the midah keneged midah. That was the measure for measure of that punishment. The Medrash, a body of Jewish literature, relates a fascinating story that Rabbi Yanai, a medieval sage, was in a marketplace in Tzipori, which was a town in the Mideast, and he observed a peddler who was hawking his wares in the marketplace, and he said, "Man boi chaye, who would like life? Who would like to purchase an elixir for life?" And obviously a large crowd gathered around him, and upon which he did a classic bait and switch. He took out a Tehillim, he took out a Psalms, and he opened up and he said, "Mia isha chafetz chayim, who would like to live long, oyev yamim l'rais tov, love his days and to see good, nitzar l'shan chamera, v'svasecha medavrei mirma, withhold your tongue from speaking ill of other people, that's the best recipe for life." And Rabbi Yanai told his students, I never really understood that verse until I saw this peddler. And what's perplexing about it is that the verse is pretty straightforward. Whoever wants to live long, don't speak bad. What did Rabbi Yanai see? What did the rabbis see in this peddler that helped him understand it that he didn't understand before? So I'd like to suggest a thought, and I think it's very appropriate with our assembly in school this week. And I think it's a wonderful message for parents, Jewish and non-Jewish, worldwide, about the need to model appropriate behavior and to be proactive. I'd like to suggest that Rabbi Yanai understood that, the rabbi understood that verse pretty well beforehand. What attracted his attention was the venue in a marketplace. Usually we'd learn Torah lessons in a synagogue or in a temple, and the initiative. That's what I think was profound about what that person did. The fact that the message took place smack in the middle of a busy marketplace offered a profound insight, and that is, it's much easier to withhold from speaking ill of other people or doing poor things when you're in a temple, when you're in an environment removed from the world. It's much more challenging in the middle of a marketplace in the hustle and bustle of daily life. He also took notice about the fact that that the peddler took the initiative. He didn't see anything wrong. There was nothing going on that caused them to say that. And that would fit very well with the end of that verse, which is Bakesh Shalom V'Radefehu. Seek out peace and pursue it. Bakesh Shalom V'Radfeyu. Seek out peace and pursue it. And I think that was what impressed him about what this peddler had done. He took the initiative, not in a synagogue, but in a public marketplace. And he actually chased after peace, so to speak. He pursued peace in a proactive way. And I think that's really the message of what I was trying to convey to my students, and what I'd like to convey to the public at large, is that sometimes we have to take a stand. And when we see injustice, even if it doesn't pertain to us personally, it's important that we take a stand and that we model appropriate behavior and teach ourselves and the people around us all about this. This weekly Torah series, this Torah Thought series, was dedicated in memory of my beloved mother who passed away a few months ago. She modeled every one of these attributes, always seeking peace, always seeking to be kind to other people, and always seeking to live a life that modeled Torah values. My mother didn't have the benefit of much of a Jewish education in schools. She grew up in Newburgh, New York, after coming from Europe. She went to public school and public high school, but she lived Torah values every second of her life. Last Shavuos, just about 9 months ago, I was at a hotel program with my mother and Rabbi Ronnie Greenwald, who passed away also, a few months ago. And he was also an amazing human being, always looking out to help people, always looking out for weak people, supporting abuse victims, helping refuseniks in Russia. He lived just an incredible, extraordinary life. Someone interviewed me for a Jewish website interviewed me the day after his death and asked me, tell me a little about Rabbi Greenwald, because I had posted something on my website about him. So I said, let's keep it real simple. Rabbi Greenwald was the they. That's all you need to know. And I said, people always say, why don't they do this and why don't they do that? As speaking in the third person, like someone should come down from heaven and fix the social ills. Rabbi Greenwald was the they. Something needed to be done. What everybody else said, why don't they do? Rabbi Greenwald just did it. And during his shiva, I paid a shiva visit to his family. I thought to myself that several times during this year, I'm going to try to do a they thing in Rabbi Greenwald's memory. I'm going to try to step up when people are saying they and do something in his memory and in my mother's. And this was the first they I did. May this be this initiative that we started should be a zchus, a merit for the memory of my beloved mother and for one of my real heroes, Rabbi Ronnie Greenwald. Have a wonderful Shabbos, everyone.